Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
And welcome to episode 7.
Yeah, we're doing this.
7's a cool number, right?
Yeah, it's a nice number.
It's like lucky or something?
Pretty much.
I don't really have much belief in luck and numbers, but, you know, some people do.
Today's the 14th. That's 2 times 7.
I don't think this is going anywhere.
No, it's not.
I think we need to stop.
Quit while we're ahead and just stick to the show.
You know what? Let's just talk right now about what we're going to be talking about, because you guys need to know what that is. So, here in a little bit, I'm going to be talking about some big news regarding Disney no longer doing 2D animation, and that's terrible.
I'm going to be talking about Marvel launching a new foray into live programming with Marvel Universe Live.
And together we're going to discuss the new trailer for the movie Kick-Ass 2.
Which I think we're going to have some interesting views on between the two of us.
Because admittedly I haven't seen it in a while, the first movie, but you've seen it more recently. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Why don't we just kind of get to some follow-up things?
Yeah, you guys might remember a while back that we had talked about Disney Infinity, which is basically Disney's answer to the Skylanders. I guess you'd call it, what, a franchise? Or a gaming...
It's not really a franchise, it's a particular title within a franchise.
Well, it's basically their answer to that title, you know, with these little figures that you put on a stand and it's cross-platform, or not cross-platform, multi-platform. Well, anyway, they had originally said in their first press release that it was going to launch in June. However, they just said today that they're pushing it back to August.
Well, 2 months isn't all that far, considering it's also basically a toy line.
Yeah, but this thing pretty much writes itself, so why would they need to do that?
Because they want to release more toys sooner so that they can take your money faster.
Yeah, but August isn't sooner. August is later.
Yeah, but by waiting a couple of months to release more toys in the first run, that's not stupid, that's smart.
Maybe. I figured they'd want to come out the door quicker.
That, or maybe the game's just not ready, Josh? Maybe the pushback actually means that's making it better. Now, if they were pushing it back over and over and over again, then you gotta worry that it's going into Duke Nukem Forever territory.
I was about to make that same parallel. It's a slippery slope when you start having to push things back.
Well, it's not really a terribly far push back. Like, I've seen games get pushed back half a year or more. This is nothing like that. It's still within the summer.
Well, see, here even in the press release, they say themselves, we could deliver it in June if we wanted to. Will 2 months help us? Sure, of course. It gives us more time to add bells and whistles to make sure it really sings and pops, but what more bells and whistles were you gonna leave out, is my question.
Well, that's the thing. If they probably shouldn't have put a July release date on it then, because this is Disney,
June, yeah.
Or June. This is Disney, and you want all the bells and whistles, because if it didn't have bells and whistles, then that would be really disappointing, because think about it. You go to a Disney movie and you expect really grand things. You go to a Disney theme park and you expect a performance from somebody around every corner.
Right.
Just unexpected stuff all over the place, and if this didn't have it, that would be really disappointing. So yeah, they could probably put out a functional game right now. If that, what this individual is saying is true, then the game functions and you don't have to worry about that. All you have to worry about after that is that it has character and it looks good and it's actually fun. Because functionality, of course, is one thing, but if it's not fun, then who cares?
Right.
Right.
Well, but then again, bottom line, like I've always said, Disney is always about that dollar, so they're going to do whatever it takes, I guess, then to make sure that that dollar gets made off those kids that this is marketed towards.
Oh man, I'm going to be talking about Disney and their dollars here in a second, so don't get me started on that too.
No. Well, I'll change the topic just slightly for a second. A while back, a couple of you guys had, mentioned in comments on some of the previous videos that maybe we should, have a guest or have a little feature, and we're going to go ahead and try that out right now.
Well, we're not going to have a guest, but we are going to suggest that you go and watch a fellow creator who probably is not getting as much attention anymore as she might have been previously, but I think it's well deserved, especially because today, at least on the day that we're recording it, the video she has released is quite relevant. Psycho Neko has released a video regarding the difference between Valentine's Day and White Day in Japan in her Anime Basics Valentine's/White Day video. And it's short, most of the Anime Basics videos are not terribly long, and so it won't take you that long to swallow, not like a podcast like this. So, I highly suggest you look at that because it's more insight than just, yay, the girls give chocolate and then the guys give chocolate. No,
wait, which day do I give chocolate on?
Why don't you watch the video?
That's a good idea.
Because it'll give you the history as to how it came about, too. And that's pretty cool if you're like me and you like the history of things.
I like things. I like chocolate.
So, down in the description below, we'll go ahead and link you to the Anime Basics video that we're discussing, and I think Psycho Neko did a great job on it. So
I agree.
So please, you guys, give her support. Aside from that,
I say let's get right into it.
Okay. In that case, we were just talking about Disney. I'm going to talk about Disney some more. So, like I said,
this is some sad stuff
like
here.
I said at the top of this hour, Disney not currently developing any hand-drawn 2D animated movies. And that's more than just they're not currently developing any. From what I understand, they have further closed their 2D animation studios in lieu of in deciding to go toward all 3D almost all the time. I mean, I would assume that's not including their 2D television shows that seem to be functioning okay, because those aren't hand-drawn. What I mean when I say they're closing their animation studios is they're hand-drawn studios.
Right.
They're not going to work on hand-drawn 2D animation anymore. Again, I'm assuming things like Phineas and Ferb are still going to be rocking that Disney Channel, or Toon Disney, or whatever.
Phineas and Ferb's alright.
Well, I just mean that nobody's doing hand-drawn stuff anymore.
I mean, we look at the history here, and what was it? Correct me on this if I'm wrong. The Little Mermaid was the last one that they did full hand-drawn.
Yeah, that was 1989. And you remember the next Disney animated film was Beauty and the Beast. And, yeah, Beauty and the Beast. And that ballroom
right,
sequence.
that was the first time they touted the 3D, the use of really computer animation.
Yeah, and I can see, like, it's a little dated.
Wait, was it Beauty and the Beast or was it Aladdin?
No, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast was 1991, Aladdin was 1992.
Okay, okay. I trust your judgment on that.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast, I mean, that ballroom sequence, it's mildly dated now, and yet still fairly well integrated.
Right.
But then it's, like, really noticeable with, Aladdin and the giant tiger head Cave of Wonders. But otherwise, it's, for the most part, still 2D, hand-drawn, and hand-painted. But then as you got further and further down into the 90s, and then the early 2000s, it became very much computer colorized, too. Not just hand-drawn and hand-painted, but computer. It wasn't all CG yet, but computers were kind of starting to creep in on the process. Now, granted, I understand that 2D is expensive now. I mean, it always was, but in comparison to just getting a bunch of computers to... You get a computer render farm going, and you just have a creator... pose some models, and then hit the render button and walk away for a little bit before you come back and do some work, then, yeah, there's a big difference in price.
But the thing about it is, with price, you get what you pay for. There is a life to those 2D drawings, and I know you agree with me on that you can't get with computer necessarily the same.
Well, on top of that, who is Disney to try to save money?
Well, yeah, exactly. What have I always said? They've got giraffe money. They don't need to worry about that. They've got Marvel. They've got
Lucasfilm.
Right. They don't need to worry about whether or not, can we afford this?
Or maybe they're worrying they can't afford it because they just bought Lucasfilm.
I don't think they're hurting for money. I really don't.
I don't actually either. I'm just playing devil's advocate. But no, Star Wars is its own big old money bank as it is. It's
so I'm trying to look at this. So they're saying they're turning away from hand-drawn animation. Does this mean we're going to see more like Tangled was?
Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph, yes, because those two movies were not Pixar. They were in fact Walt Disney Animation Studios. And apparently Wreck-It Ralph has grossed in excess of $400 million worldwide.
And now that's going to go up even more since it just came out on a Blu-ray.
It's done exceedingly well. Of course, it was incredibly clever.
Yes.
Fantastic movie.
Love the movie.
Even if you're not a gamer, I mean, it still is a great story. But, gosh, it's just so painful because, I mean, really? Like, the last thing we got was The Princess and the Frog? Like, I thought that was a good movie. I really did, but
I honestly can't say anything. I haven't seen it.
But, for that to be the last 2D one, I don't think really is a fantastic send-off for the 2D universe.
Why do you say that?
Well, it was good, but it wasn't like... I don't think it was Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast good. I think it was, hey, look, guys, 2D is back, and that was its selling point, and the fact that it had a black princess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, the story was nice, and it was cute, but I think it was a little safe, you know?
Yeah.
It didn't make me jump up and down, like... It made me a little giddy, like, oh yeah, 2D's coming back! That, I admittedly was excited about that. And then I got there, and it was like, yay, that was a movie! I didn't hate it, you know?
You're saying it didn't wow you.
Yeah.
Now, to I guess, juxtapose that, Tangled, I thought was a great movie. And
I did too.
For being the first one that was, I guess you'd say, fully 3D?
Yeah, it was fully CG.
I think they told just as good of a story as they would have told in Mulan, in Pocahontas, Hercules, any of the other older ones. Well, it was a little weird to see at first, but I got used to it pretty quick, so I don't think it's going to be a problem.
No, as far as storytelling is concerned, it shouldn't matter what medium you choose. But that's the problem, too. I think it was John Lasseter I found in one of these articles who said that they were using 2D as an excuse to suck at writing. And that should never have been.
No, why would you do that?
That should never have been an excuse. Like, they did, in fact, like, it had been so many years since they had done 2D before they did Princess and the Frog, that when it came out, the selling point was solely that it was 2D. And yay, here's our big triumphant return to the medium that made us big and popular. Yeah, there should
Actually, no, the last animated one they did, 2D, was Winnie the Pooh.
I guess that's true. What does that count as part of their numeric whatever feature?
No, I don't think it would, though.
Because there's been so many Winnie the Pooh movies, you know? And those were never part of the whatever annual or whatever number animated feature in a certain line of...
Like, it's not something that's up for getting, quote-unquote, put in the vault.
Probably not, no. No, you know what I mean when I say they were numbered, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the Pooh movies count in that numeric set.
You said Pooh movie.
Well, what is the matter with you? Don't be a child about Winnie the Pooh. What am I saying?
Gotcha.
No, you didn't get me. It's
Don't be a child about...
It's Winnie the Pooh. You're supposed to be a child. But you're not supposed to laugh at Pooh. You're not! Stop it! Don't look at me like that.
Alright, so continue.
I don't think there's much further to continue on. Just that this is incredibly disappointing, and that if it is a matter of money or storytelling, both of those don't seem like legitimate excuses to me. Neither
actually,
one of them.
To me, it would come across as more of an excuse because to me anyway, and I know you're the animation buff here. To me, it comes across that the computer would be a little bit more of a cop-out.
Well, it is, because it's easier to just kind of... Well, I mean, let me put it this way. The person who creates the character initially has a very difficult job. You know, he's got to create and build the structure around this character, not only flat, but, I mean, 2D artists have to think in 360 degrees also, but, you know, you render this character, you create it, and you give it bone structure, and you give it life. Then, at a certain point, all you're really doing is posing the bone structure, and keyframing it, and then you hit a button and you let it render. And then you can walk away and come back later. It is a lot of work, but it requires a lot less manpower. A lot less manpower. It usually does come a lot more quickly than 2D films do. Some 2D films would take up to 5 years to create. And that's just the animation process. That's not to say the writing and the screenplay and the recording and all that. Just the hand-drawn animation process. And it was just nothing but studios and studios and studios. Hey, didn't you say that you went to what used to be the MGM studios? What do they call it now? Hollywood Studios?
Yeah, out
Disney
in Florida.
World Hollywood Studios. Wasn't it there that they had an animation studio?
Yes, they did. I actually took a tour there.
Yeah, you used to take that tour and you'd look in on the glass. I remember, I think they were working on Tarzan at the time when I went. And I'm pretty sure. And, you know, I saw them storyboarding. I didn't, see them animating just yet, but they were like, this is our next film that we're working on. And you could look in through the glass at actual animators at work. And you couldn't hear what they were saying or doing, but I'm assuming they only allowed certain images to be seen.
See, I wasn't that lucky. When I went through, they were on their lunch break, so they...
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah, but we could see, oh yes, they were clearly working on something, and I have no idea what it was they could have been working on. I do know that I was there in 2003, so whatever, I guess, they were working on at the time to line up with that, that's probably what was on the desk. Uh-huh. But yes, I guess that... Will that get taken out of that tour now? Does that tour even relevant?
Yeah, because didn't these articles say that their 2D animation studios are closed?
Right, so I guess that's no more then.
Unless they choose to revamp that as one of their 3D render farms and show this is how we work on animation now.
Hey guys, look at this computer while it renders.
Well, somebody still has to, I was just looking at a picture of the upcoming film that they're working on. Where is it? I was just barely looking at it. A film called Frozen. And as you can see at the top of this page that I'm looking at on Filmonic.com, somebody has drawn this by hand. Somebody has to start by drawing things by hand. Somebody has to do character design by hand, and they do original paintings, and once they get that off the ground, then they start building it in a computer. So they still hire somebody to draw.
They still need animators, of course, regardless.
Well, yeah, but they need 3D animators. They don't need 2D animators. They need 2D artists, not animators.
Okay.
Those are two different things, though I would assume they would hire people who obviously can do both. I mean, this Frozen thing, the little catch, the one sentence thing they have about it doesn't really catch my interest. A mountain climber and a young girl named Anna journey through snowy peaks and dangerous cliffs to find the legendary Snow Queen and end the perpetual winter prophecy that has fallen over their kingdom. Well, okay. I mean, I know they were saying that their 2D was just an excuse for not so great stories. Again, this is just one sentence, so I don't know anything else about it. I haven't looked into it further. I bet somebody can find more information about this Frozen movie, which is supposed to come out this November, actually. But, I don't know. I'm just not really interested.
I think really the takeaway from all this is that getting away from 2D, really it feels like you're losing your, I guess not identity, but just that place where you got your start.
Well, that is identity. I mean, Disney started
Well, their identity is still animation, but it's just like getting away from your start. And that's really the sad thing about it.
It is really sad. I mean, maybe with the success of the Star Wars movies that are coming out, maybe there'll be even more giraffe money coming in, and maybe they can reopen a studio. Like, that would be my hope. But I'm sad.
No, I understand. I share that sadness.
I'm legitimately sad. I think I'm done. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
sad.
Well, I'm going to talk about something that makes me a little happy.
Okay.
I have said before that I'm a fan of superheroes. I'm a fan of tokusatsu. I'm a fan of of things that people are fans of over here. You know, Marvel Comics, DC Comics, things like that. When I was a kid, I used to travel with my family during the summer out to Six Flags, and they would have these stunt shows of Batman, you know, with ties into the movie, you know, for Batman Returns or Batman Forever, things like that. And, you know, there's been a presence of that with DC over the years, but now Marvel, just the other day, announced that they are teaming up with a circus producer to create a giant arena show based around their intellectual properties, calling it Marvel Universe Live.
So awesome! It'll be yet another live show that will get canceled in the San Antonio area.
Well, okay, to clarify on that, some people know about, and maybe some of you have seen it, last year, there was this thing called Batman Live, which was the stadium tour, which oddly enough started out across the world in Manchester, over in the United Kingdom. They showed there, and then they brought it over to the U.S. for a tour. Oddly enough, they were going to bring it here to where we live here in San Antonio. However, back in November, you know, just a little bit around a month before the show was supposed to get here, they canceled. And then they canceled the Dallas show. And then they canceled some other shows. And it was weird because a show in Iowa got canceled. And I was really looking forward to this thing. Because if there's one thing I have a hard time passing up, it's a stage show. You know, theatrical background plus, you know, stage shows from across the sea with, like, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, things like that. I like looking at those things. I like choreography. I like the pyrotechnics. I like seeing the hero lie there in the flesh in front of you, and then that opportunity gets taken away from you.
'Cause there's something that you kind of hold on to from being a child where you so want to believe that guy on TV really is a hero that can save the day, and when you see him there in front of you saving the day, some part of you gets all happy inside.
Exactly.
Like he is your hero, and because he's standing there in front of you, he is really a hero.
Right. It's like, you know, I'm not dumb. I know some of these, you know, these guys are just guys in costumes, but you give them that little, you buy into this idea that no, that's not an actor, that's a representation of this is Batman, this is Superman, this is Wonder Woman, things like that. Well, now we get to do that with Marvel properties. Like, this will be, they say specifically that they're going to base this around Spider-Man, Iron Man and the Avengers, and X-Men. So you're going to be able to see these characters there. You're going to be able to see Spider-Man, you're going to see Wolverine, you're going to see Hawkeye, Cyclops, any of these guys on this tour. And of course, this ties in perfectly with their, you know, well-off movies. There will be a they're going to launch this next July, so I've got a year.
Aren't we basically talking about Disney again?
Yes, we are, actually, because the press release that was just released says we are very proud of our oh, here it is. This partnership builds upon our 33-year-long partnership with Marvel's parent company, Disney. So what does that mean again? Giraffe money.
So they have no excuse to cancel anywhere.
Another reason for that, you know for a fact that Disney on Ice has toured for the last 20 years running, give or take. They are not going to cancel this thing.
Yeah, and you know what? I like Disney on Ice, okay?
You're free to. It's not my cup of tea, but you're free to.
Come on, you and I have had this conversation. That one year that they came into town and it was like Disney Afternoon kind of stuff.
That was the stuff right there. That was the bomb.
That was
the bomb.
Where they had like the gargoyles
and Darkwing Duck and
it was hosted by Goofy and Max. That was a little weird, but you know,
it was relevant. Goof Troop was out.
Specifically when gargoyles came out on the ice, right? Like they brought a whole wall out on the ice.
Yeah.
And then Goliath breaks out, like he doesn't break out, but he gets lit up and then drops down on wires onto the ice and then starts choreography beating up whatever. It was amazing. And
yeah.
Now, granted, I've seen another one since that was, you know, Princess Fantasies, and every single one of their fantasies was basically to get rescued by a man. That was a little stupid, but the choreography was quite lovely.
Oh, yes, of course,
yes.
of course.
So, this better not blow, is what I'm saying.
No, they've got the money behind it. Two, they say they're working to bring in state-of-the-art elements of pyrotechnics, aerial displays, martial arts, any sort of special effect they can get their hands on to get this off the ground. Because, granted, think about the kinds of things we're going to have to see. It's one thing to see it in a movie. It's one thing to set it up for that. It's another thing to see it on TV or read it in a comic book. It's a completely different thing to do it live. To do web swinging live. To do an optic blast live.
And depending on the venues that they choose, like, this might be people seeing them all around them. You know, if it's in stadium sort of situations.
That's what they're looking at, yeah.
Okay, then it'll be difficult to choreograph like punches and kicks because somebody will notice that something doesn't connect.
That was a noticeable thing, specifically with Batman Live. When I was getting ready to purchase my ticket, I went online and looked up some video of the shows that they had already done. And yes, there is that problem. When you're looking at a certain angle, you can see, you know, the telegraphing of a punch or a kick and things of that nature. I would hope that, because really it's for safety.
Of course,
you know, you don't want to endanger your other fellow actors, but at the same time, you know, you want to still make it look good. And some of the choreography was good, others weren't. Like for Batman and Robin in the show, it was pretty basic choreography, you know, basic for what you would expect for those two characters. But for somebody like, say, Poison Ivy or Harley Quinn who are in the show, it's like, not so much. You know, you didn't seem to be trying as hard. But here, you know, when you're dealing with, you know, an acrobat like Spider-Man, or even what would be interesting to see, and this just hit me right now, we're dealing with the X-Men, right? How would you do Nightcrawler?
Multiple Nightcrawlers. You know, light up on one, smoke bomb, light up on another. Yeah, Bamf. You could have live Bamf. He could show up in the audience. See, look, you see the look on your face right now. You like that idea. I do like that idea. That would be really clever. You should work for Disney.
No, I like having my soul.
Oh, you have a point.
But yeah, this is... As soon as this goes up, more than likely I will try and buy a ticket. Because, well, I still have all that money I didn't spend on my Batman Live ticket. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean... Batman.
Yeah, Batman. I wanted to see freaking Batman.
But didn't they cancel, like, in tons of places, did you say?
There was a number of places that they did... They pretty much canceled Texas. Which is weird, because, like, there are Batman fans in Texas. I mean, I don't see what the problem was.
Texas is a big state. I mean, there had to have been something else going on. Did they still have more shows after that in other regions?
Far as I know, they did.
It's lame. Man, we got ripped off.
We did get ripped off. And now, you know, for me, I'll go ahead and say that it's another case where DC, you drop the ball where Marvel's going to pick it up and run it in for a three-pointer.
But they're going to keep holding on to their television animation. Their television animation, that's doing awesome for them. And
Don't try to talk to me about DC animation right now. I'm too mad at them.
yeah, that's a completely different topic.
Yeah.
We should should do an editorial on that or something.
We should do an editorial on that, because 2 episodes later. Don't let me get into that.
You can do an editorial on that.
I can do an editorial
on that. You know what?
On that.
Throw that up on your YouTube channel, because it's looking barren these days.
I know, because somebody needs to help me film.
You need to actually come forth and ask me to help you.
All right. We'll work on that.
Okay.
Point being, this will embark on an 85-city tour starting next year. Hopefully one of those stops will be in our general area. Hopefully it'll be in a general area around you guys. That way you can see this thing.
Because the United States is all big and stuff.
And there's people in it.
Lots
with
of people.
Disposable income.
Or not so disposable income. Tell your parents to give you money. Steal from your mother's purse.
Oh, wait, how did I completely miss that?
What?
The company that they're working with to bring this off the ground, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey.
Oh, the money!
Yeah. People did circus. It's gonna be a Marvel circus.
Optic blast.
Breakfast Garage. But yes, definitely looking forward to that. I want to see. I want to shake hands with Cyclops, because unlike some people, I like Cyclops.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Cyclops.
I don't either.
I mean, there was a time when he actually was like leader and junk.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was a long time ago.
Well, sorry, yeah. That's a whole nother thing that
okay,
I won't
fine.
get into it.
You gonna talk about that anymore?
Yeah, no, I think I pretty much said my piece about it.
Okay, what else were we talking about?
Kick-Ass.
Oh, cool.
So, just yesterday, actually, or the day before, there was the release of the... No, it was yesterday. The release of the new trailer for Kick-Ass 2, the sequel to the original movie, directed by Matthew Vaughn.
Yes, that's what the number 2 means. It's a sequel.
Yes, I know that.
Please continue.
But yes, directed by Matthew Vaughn. He's come back to direct this one. He's been working in tandem with the original creator on this, and it provides a continuation of the story of Dave, who has gone from just being a fan of comics to being a real-life superhero, and the continuation of the story with Hit Girl, who is now, having to deal with, for those of you who don't know, not trying to spoil, but they kind of make it obvious, the death of her father, and continuing to try and be a superhero while still maintaining some semblance of a normal life.
Ha! It doesn't look anything like that in that trailer.
Well, her guardian is trying to get her to give it up and be a normal teenager. That ain't gonna happen, though.
Uh-huh.
But, you just saw this today, the trailer. I saw it yesterday. What did you think?
Looks fun. It looks loud and fast and colorful, very much like the first movie. I will watch it. I don't know that I have much of a further opinion about it, because I usually can't go off too terribly much on just trailers. I haven't read the original source material. It's been a long time since I've seen the first movie. But I can make some comments regarding the first movie.
Well, yeah, a lot of that carries over here. Just in general, the idea of somebody doing this thing that just about everybody has thought of, which is taking it a step further, putting on that costume, and going out there and trying to do a thing as a hero.
Yeah,
I know I went through that phase.
You went out and tried to fight crime?
Sort of.
When was this?
When I was like 12.
Oh, you could have died.
I could have died.
You did this?
Well, if by did this you mean I put on some long johns and a cape, and I walked 2 blocks and then I immediately turned around, then yes, I did that.
Okay. Well, it's there's some people, let's not kid ourselves. I think that most of the time, Hollywood, movies and television will try and tell you that nerds are completely and utterly deluded. And, being nerds, we know that that's not entirely the case. That being said, some nerds are quite deluded.
Now, the thing about it is, Kick-Ass, it was one thing, telling this story about, people who would actually go and do this. The thing that some people may or may not know is that we do actually live in a world where there are people who decide to go out and officially patrol the streets.
Oh yeah, I had this discussion when I was doing Bitchcast with Mark Swint, and we wwe talking about, I think this was relatively soon after the first Kick-Ass movie came out, and we were talking about how these people were just out there ready to get their asses handed to them, really.
Pretty much. Which is actually something I respect about, Kick-Ass as a work. Specifically in the first one, what happens the first time he tries to do something? He gets knifed and hit by a car. Realistically, it goes bad for him.
And actually, I want to say in the news just recently, there was this overweight dude dressed as Batman in the UK who...
Oh, yeah, that's right!
Who brought some dude into a police station. I don't know how he did it. I can't rightly remember what the crime was. I think you just look up,
Russian Batman.
It's not Russian. He's in the UK.
No, there's one in Russia, too.
Really?
A guy who dresses up like a bat or Batman.
No, this guy specifically was dressed in a Batman costume, a not very good Walmart Batman costume. He was overweight, and he detained somebody somehow for doing something, and he just stood in the lobby of the police station until the police arrived, and then he walked away.
Uh-huh.
And that was it. And nobody knows who this guy is. They just know that he's some overweight guy dressed as Batman who brought in a criminal who did something. So people do this.
Yeah.
I don't know how that guy managed to do it, but he did it. And I don't think he has any amazing superpowers like not being able to feel pain, but I don't think any of these people do.
Well, no, none of them have superpowers. It's kind of the funny thing that even in The Dark Knight, you've got those copycat vigilantes asking Batman at the beginning of the movie, what makes you so different from us? I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah.
Which is, the realistic thing about it, because if you look at this trailer, Kick-Ass joins up with a group of other heroes to form this group called Justice Forever, and if you look at their costumes, they're less, I guess, clean-looking than these other costumes, and yeah, they're blatantly wearing, football shoulder pads and, small, rollerblade stuff on their arms. That's not gonna help you in real terms.
What would you suggest wearing, Mr. I went out as a superhero when
I was 12. Okay, let's get that straight. 12 is not quite teenager.
So for those of us who want to go out and fight crime,
uh-huh,
what would you suggest wearing in that sort of a scenario?
Well, it's the argument there of, I'm not wearing hockey pads, but at the same time you have the right idea of you need some level of protection, because let's face it, you're going to get hit doing something this really foolhardy.
Let's say you're going out to stop, there's this guy on this corner who's selling crack.
Uh-huh.
And let's also assume that more than likely this guy has a gun. Mm-hmm. What do you wear?
Well, for one, Kevlar. You gotta get a bulletproof vest of some variety. More than likely a helmet of some variety. You could get shot in the face. Basic body armor. And the thing about this stuff is, which is really the flip side of it and the scary part, the stuff you would need to stop crime is the exact same stuff you more or less we've seen people use to start it.
So, but that leaves zero room for creative costuming around it, wouldn't you say?
Well, see, that's the thing this is why it's fantasy, because it's one thing to be like a police officer, and you're responding to a threat, and you are required to wear certain gear to deal with that threat, where the fantasy aspect comes in of, I gotta be protective, but how do I look cool? And then you got to deal with logos, color coordinating, wings, capes, things like that.
Because Kick-Ass himself, he's got, like, no armor going on.
Well, see, as far as the character goes, he's got that whole thing of after that first, incident, he ends up having damaged nerve endings and a couple of metal plates in his body, which he uses to take a beating.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's not just because he can't, like, feel pain doesn't mean he can't get hurt.
Well, no, of course, you may not hurt the metal, but you can hurt what the metal's attached to. He's still got bones.
Yeah,
he can still bleed.
Yeah, so he's kind of dumb because he's still wearing
that's kind of
nothing.
the point. But at the same time, it's endearing about him, at least as far as a character goes, that he continues to do this regardless, just because he wants to do the right thing. He's not necessarily trying to get notoriety out of it. He just wants to be a good guy.
Except he has a MySpace page.
Well, yeah, that kind of ruined it. MySpace. It's still around,
I know. I just got an email from them recently saying, come and check out our musical bands on MySpace, because that's what it turned into now, a place just for, like, musicians.
Or something like that.
I don't even really care. The point I'm making is
so
that
what, in this
he
next
was trying to social network as Kick-Ass.
Right. And the thing is...
And how did nobody... I'm serious. How did nobody trace his MySpace page?
Well, no, that they make that point in the movie when Big Daddy and Hit Girl show up in his room. It's like, we traced your IP. It's so easy to find you.
So why were they the only ones who ever did it?
Because
as soon as something like that happens, I would be like... Because I'm that kind of person, I'd be like, I want to know who this guy is.
Well, see, in the modern world that we live in, it is entirely possible for somebody to do that, to trace your IP. Heck, if you were making a big enough splash and say, like, God forbid, 4chan got wind of what you were doing, they could find who you were in hours.
Yeah, and I mean, all you really have to do is, like, you're a cop and you don't want vigilantes out there, you'd be like, hey, MySpace, you have to tell us who this person is. That's all it takes.
Right.
That's it. If the local police really wanted him that bad, all they would have had to do is ask MySpace.
Right. They
didn't want him bad enough.
No, because that's kind of the joke about it that made it work for him, is that they weren't taking him seriously initially. And of course now, he'll be taken a little bit more seriously since word gets around he kind of killed a mob boss.
So this movie also, it looks like they deal with the fact that they don't want vigilantes anymore.
Yes.
And they want to stop any costumed heroics of any variety.
Right. And that, of course, goes into the whole problem created by Red Mist, who has decided to go full supervillain with the supervillain name, the Mother...
He just censored himself.
I censored myself.
I'm pretty sure you guys can figure out what exactly he's referring to, or just watch the trailer. He says it full...
Yeah, it's a Red Band trailer, so they'll say everything.
Yep.
But, because of the problems that arise from that, the cops want to shut this down. Because, people can get hurt, people do get hurt. And heck, even the people doing this in real life get hurt. This guy, I was trying to remember his name, I think it was Phoenix something or other. What was his name?
Doesn't matter, just tell the story.
He got his butt beat, basically. That was the story. This guy dressed up as a superhero and got his butt handed to him.
Would you say that this upcoming movie perhaps also addresses that idea similar to the one that often comes up in Batman, that by creating heroes you also create bigger crime?
Well,
that it then just sort of generates and feeds itself like that?
Well, if we want to go down there, this also was a question that they brought up in the debate episode of King of the Nerds.
Yeah.
Whether or not that happens. And I do respect that standpoint of people are going to do this stuff regardless. However, I can see how people would get the idea, oh, they did it, so now I can do it. It's the idea of viral videos. Mm-hmm. Which, basically, the most potent thing we have is ideas. an idea can get inside of you and grow and grow and grow until finally it takes on a life of its own. So if somebody plants the idea in your head that say, hey, I can go out on the street in this getup and do a thing, whether it be good or bad, the idea is already in there, and all it has to do is just grow until you finally decide, you know what? eBay. And then, boom, you got your costume, and then you're out doing a thing. Now, as to what end they do that is dependent on the person. I don't think that really has a matter to do with doing the bad thing. Doing the bad thing is dependent on the person. The manner in which they do it can be spurred on by somebody else doing it, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, yeah, people are going to do bad stuff regardless.
It just
takes the idea of seeing that somebody else did it in a costume.
Well, what I'm saying is, yeah, soon you eventually get more and more and more vigilantes, and then the person who wants to do the illegal thing has to try harder, and so he's trying harder and harder and harder, and things are getting bigger and more dangerous.
Escalation, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is entirely possible. Because then, yeah, you end up dealing with what you end up seeing in this trailer, which looks to be an all-out war between, you know, the good guys and the bad guys, and then, you know, what's the point? What are you fighting for?
Mm-hmm.
And that is an interesting thing in and of itself, because really, what is it that they're fighting for? Between the Mother and Kick-Ass, the fight there is personal because, you know, Kick-Ass killed his father, so that's revenge. But for everybody else, what's the stake?
Mm-hmm.
It's really what it comes down to is a bunch of nerds who want to be superheroes versus a bunch of bad people who decide to do bad things in a cape and a mask. Really, that right there shows it comes down to the person.
Which, I'm kind of reading up on vigilante justice in our city, in the San Antonio area, and it looks like a couple of years back, someone was murdered because he allegedly molested a 7-year-old girl. And so somebody took it into their own hand, like, this guy's an a-hole, I'm gonna go deliver my own brand of justice.
Uh-huh.
And he killed him. So when you say it comes down to the individual, like, how great is vigilante justice after all? Because everybody has their own definition of justice, whether that's right or wrong. So some people, it's like, oh, the right thing to do is to turn them into the police. And then other people are like, the police don't do anything. The police are not dealing the correct brand of justice. I need to deliver my own brand of justice, you know? And then that can further escalate.
Well, yeah, with most of these stories, well, not these stories, not specifically Kick-Ass, but other stories of, like, take the Punisher, you know, where his whole family is gunned down in front of him and he's powerless to do anything about it, sticking with, you know, organized means, so he goes full vigilante and hunts these guys down himself.
See, like, not everybody is Batman. Usually Batman is described as a vigilante who refuses to kill. Whereas the Punisher is obviously like, somebody killed my family, why not kill him back?
You know, an eye for an eye, basically. Yeah. And the thing about it is, as entertaining as Kick-Ass is, more often than not, you may think in your mind that you're going to be Batman, but you end up being more like Blank Man. You know, where you're this guy who goes in his, you know, long johns down to the police station. I want to talk to the commissioner! And yeah, you're going to get put in a cell. Like, what did you expect?
Crazy!
Exactly. I mean, there's enough weirdos walking down the street, you know, around here. You know, how are they going to differentiate between them and somebody with good intentions?
It is rather hard, because, you know, I go up and down this one street all the time, and I see the crazy guy who's constantly yelling at nothing and pointing at things.
Now, to be
see...
oddly enough, he has an outfit.
You're right, he wears the same clothes every time. So does this other guy that I see... This old man who's missing a few teeth wears the same jacket, slacks, and button-down shirt all the time and just kind of shuffles back and forth between the McDonald's and the gas station.
Right.
And then there's weird lady who's dressed like a pimp all the time. Are they vigilantes? Because they have costumes.
They do have costumes.
They wear the same thing all the time.
Well, I don't think they're vigilantes. They could be supervillains.
Oh, that's true.
Because they have the costumes. But in that case, it'd be the reverse case if this was what was happening, that they are the villains. Really, they're just waiting for somebody to do the right thing and turn them in wearing a cape and a mask.
Oh, so they're the kind of villains that want the attention, and they're like, oh man, such and such superhero just arrested me. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Where have I seen that done before?
It's basically like the trickster. Who voiced by Mark Hamill, and actually portrayed by Mark Hamill in the live action show. Who he's constantly, or at least in the episode of Justice League when he comes out, he's constantly getting caught by the Flash because he's so inept.
That's
he just
right.
likes the attention of being caught.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's entirely possible. A lot of it is, I would think, for attention.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, some people would want to do this, dress up in these costumes. Like, all I did was go to Google and type in real superheroes, and you'll see these guys who fancy themselves to be these heroes. And yeah, you can see some people put in more effort than others, but at base, you know, look at them. Look at these costumes. What do you see in common with all of them?
They're pretty super serious about what they're doing.
But are they? Because I only see 2 of them wearing armor.
Well, I mean, they look like they take themselves seriously.
But that doesn't mean
they take crime fighting seriously.
And that's not to say anybody else will take them seriously, which is kind of why, you know, so many people draw back to Batman as a guidepost for this sort of thing, because part of the idea that, you know, Bruce Wayne as a character figures out is that, yeah, you have to kind of make these guys be afraid of you. Superman doesn't need a mask when it's clear he can demonstrate how much power he has, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's not necessarily that necessity for it. Yeah, there's a whole thing about, you know, keeping your identity secret, but there's another thing about, you know, intimidation to prevent escalation. You know, it's the whole idea with the Cold War. Intimidation to prevent escalation.
Yeah.
So, as far as these guys are concerned, just the people I'm looking at here, I don't find one of them intimidating. I mean, I can kind of find them a little creepy, like, you really think you're going to do this? Because, I mean, look how many of them are showing their faces.
I see this one guy who kind of looks like a scarecrow right up here in the front, and he's the only one who looks necessarily like, I don't really think I want to be in an alley with this guy. Like, he freaks me out just on a paranoia kind of a level.
Because you think he's crazy.
I think he's crazy, and I think he's like the boogeyman. Like...
Yeah, but by that same token, you don't look at him and think he's going to be doing good. You kind of think he's going to do something illicit.
Yeah, I think he's going to rape me, basically.
And that's not good. That's not good at all.
No. Well, but if that's the case, then wouldn't that deter you from wanting to piss him off?
Yeah, but if he's going around looking for trouble, like, where's the point in that?
Is he looking for trouble?
I don't know. I actually don't know who this guy is.
Anyway.
This Green Hornet-looking guy over here.
Oh, you found more pictures of that specific dude.
Yeah, they're all over here. Oh, here's the guy. Phoenix Jones.
He's the one who got his ass handed to him?
If I'm not mistaken, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as that goes, real-life vigilanteism, not really a preferable means of passing your time. As far as make-believe vigilanteism, i.e. this movie, yeah, go for it. It'll be entertaining. It's nice to see Jim Carrey in this, looking not like Jim Carrey to me.
Until you told me it was Jim Carrey, I had no idea. I really didn't know.
And that tells you something. That probably means that he'll be delivering a good performance in this.
I hope so. Because I haven't seen him in a while. Not that he hasn't done stuff, but I haven't sought it out. I haven't had the desire to.
But yeah, Kick-Ass 2, yeah, go for it. Real life stuff, ditch the hockey pads, do some push-ups, and maybe think about doing something else with that newfound confidence. But yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for the two of us talking about that.
Yeah, I think we're just about done, actually, for this episode. So, again, at the top of the episode, I mentioned to go check out Psycho Neko's video. Again, I'll have that in a link below. You can find us on Twitter again. Again, you can follow me at MarsGirlProd.
And you can find me at JoshKnight1st.
And that's going to be it for another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. And I'm MarsGirl.
And I'm JoshKnight1st.
And that's about it. Take care, you guys.
We'll see you next time. Next time. Next time. Next time. Next time. Next time.